Hello, everyone. Sufit here. I'm here today with Charles B. Ticker, estate mediator. Charles, you've had a lot of experience over 40 years as a litigator, and you're an estate mediator, and you focus on sibling estate disputes. What if you come across a situation where you're dealing with a sibling in a mediation who is a bully? It becomes obvious that one sibling is a bit of a bully and one is a bit submissive. Um, how does that get handled in mediation? And is mediation even the place for that situation, or should they be in court?
Well, if they're before me, it's because they're in a jurisdiction where mediation is mandatory, or counsel have agreed that mediation is the way to go. Look, I'm a firm believer in mediation, and especially in sibling estate disputes. So I would always uh, say that you try mediation and before, just going to court or going all the way to a hearing in court. And dealing with a bully at mediation, um, it's a difficult issue. The whole thing about mediation, my whole philosophy, my whole approach is everyone has to feel comfortable and safe, or the process doesn't work. Um, so typically, we don't have the parties in the same room throughout the day, be it a virtual boardroom or in person. We'll have a very brief opening session where I'll just explain the process and talk about mediation. But for the balance of the day, they're going to be in their own boardroom or their virtual breakout room with their counsel. So there won't be that one-on-one interaction. Um, However, the style of the negotiation can sometimes take on the style of a bully taking advantage, let's say, of a weaker sibling. And if they have lawyers there, the lawyers are, of course, are there to advocate for them and to protect them. But as mediator, I have to set certain ground rules, and the ground rules are: this is a business meeting. This is going to be a civil meeting. There's not going to be any name calling. There's not going to be uh, any threats and that sort of thing. Um, and if I sense a party is really, way out of line, I will either say something to that party directly and say, look, this is not going to help you, and this is just going to cost you tens of thousands more in legal costs. And let me tell you about a case that I knew where a judge didn't look very well upon a bully and hit them with a huge amount of cost. So something you want to think about. But sometimes I may just have a private meeting with the lawyer and say, look, you got to get your client to come around because this is not helpful. Um,
What if
so
what if
it's
the what
it's
if the
difficult.
bullies? Sorry to interrupt you, but what if the bully's lawyer is also a bit of a bully? I mean, I imagine that the bully client would probably go for the quote unquote shark lawyer.
Um, yeah, that happens sometimes. And once again, I would uh, not be shy, and I would take that lawyer aside and have a little chat with him or her and saying, "You're not being helpful. And why are we here today? We're here to try and settle the case." But it's, one point I wanted to make, because I remember, you know, uh, asking two siblings about what they thought of, because I usually ask the siblings, what was it like between the two of you growing up, because and invariably the problems that they're having in the lawsuits started many years ago when they were children. Um, and I remember I once had one case when I was speaking with the sister, and she said, "Oh, yeah, my brother was terrible and did, these nasty things and picked on me and fought and sometimes, worse." And then you go speak to the other side and say, well, it was sort of normal relationship. Um, so, uh, so sometimes people have a different even perspective on what's transpired, or maybe they've just forgotten about it. But that's what makes mediation of these sibling estate disputes different and so unique, is that you're dealing with deep-seated emotions and sometimes psychological trauma that has happened many years before. And sometimes it's, it's way out of my league, and perhaps, um, someone else has to be brought in. This is something that I've actually thought about. I haven't done it yet, but there are, um, let's say, social workers or psychologists out there who do mediations as well. And I thought sometimes of maybe bringing them in to assist me on a mediation if there was a particularly difficult situation. Haven't come across that as yet, but I could see the potential for that.
Hmm. Is it even possible to settle a case with a bully?
It's difficult because the boy is going to keep on fighting until he or she gets their way and threaten going to court. And sometimes if they have the financial resources, that makes it more difficult. And the other side, if they're uh, feeling more submissive, if they're feeling like a victim, is sometimes they're going to settle just to make the problem going away, but it's not going to be a very satisfying experience for that person. And as a mediator, um, it's certainly something that causes me concern because you try to equal the playing field as much as you can, but it's never going to be perfectly level. But if people are really acting way beyond what is appropriate, I would have difficulty carrying on with the mediation, I think.
So you maybe would send the parties away and say, look, bring your client back when he's ready or he or
Right,
she's ready
right.
to deal. Okay. All right. Well, it's an uncomfortable topic, but I'm sure one that probably does occur. So I'm sure your thoughts have been very helpful. Our guest today has been Charles B. Ticker. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.